Hello, welcome to the Tutors of Life podcast where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 219. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. This is it's a Tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
Beauty.
Got there.
Dude, I don't think there's been a new Andy Frisella podcast for like 4 days. 5
Are you
days.
serious? Are you dying on the inside?
I don't know, dude, unless it's just not popping up on my Spotify.
Well, DJ did just have another kid. Or did he get married?
No, he just had another kid.
Yeah.
That could be it. You know what? And I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. And I think he also got married? Because he was talking about a wedding in an episode.
Yeah, no, he was getting married this weekend. You know what? That's right. So the last episode was Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And they probably just had weekend festivities. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
Does it make me sad? A little bit. But am I happy for them? Yes.
You know for a fact, right? Like, the next episode, he's going to be like, oh, y'all are freaking out that I haven't posted an episode. He gets so mad.
For sure.
It's so funny.
Yeah. He's like, fuck you guys, get a life.
Yeah.
And we're like, our life is you.
Yep.
So stupid, dude.
I really should bring my coffee cup back downstairs.
So that's not there just for looks?
No.
I thought you put that there for looks.
No. There's nothing in it. Like, it is, like, clean, but
I don't believe you. There's definitely coffee stain in the bottom.
I think it's actually chicken broth stain.
That is disgusting.
It's not moldy, so.
That's good.
You know what we could put in here? The Real AF coffee mug.
Truth that.
Mm-hmm.
Truth that. All right. What's up? What's new?
We don't do that in this episode.
We can do whatever we want on this episode.
I know, but they're tutor episodes. I feel like they just want to learn.
Fuck them.
And then we have more to talk about on the talk episode.
Okay, sounds good. We put a property under
Contract.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna go check out 3 more.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go look at that one and 2 more.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
You bet. Well, that one and like 2 more deals or 2 more? What?
Yeah, that one and 2 more deals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So be exciting.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah.
See where things go.
Yep.
Maybe we'll spend all of our money.
Yep.
Which we'll go into here. Lead us right into today's episode.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Buying a home.
Correct.
This is buying a personal home, not buying an investment property.
That is a good way to start. Shaun did some research. I listened in the background very haphazardly. Are you starting with the first video you watched?
I reconfigured it all. There's some bits from everything.
Okay.
Why?
I was just going to see if we're starting with, like, the 3 rules for renting. I know it's not buying a home, but it does kind of go into, like, the 3 rules of buying.
3 rules for renting, the 30-33? Or wait, no,
No.
50-30-20.
It was the 50-30-20, and then it was that was the first 3 rules he got was for renting, and then the second 3 were for buying. But they were, like, similar things.
I just think you can use them, like, either way.
Okay.
I don't know how you couldn't use them either way.
Because you have to account for more with buying a home, since you have to pay for, like, property tax, insurance, and maintenance. And, like, rent is just rent.
Yeah. All right, this is what I'm going to do. Let's get rolling.
Okay.
Okie dokie, gang. Buying a personal home. What can you afford through the lender's perspective?
Okay.
All right, so lenders care about 2 things mainly. Mm-hmm. They care about your debt, and they care about your income.
Easy.
Okay?
Simple.
Too easy. And they care about this thing called your debt-to-income ratio.
No way.
So how much debt do you have in regards to your income? They want to see a debt-to-income ratio of less than 45%.
Okay.
Okay? This means they're allowing you to have 55% of your income for, like, all your regular spending, all that shit. And they're saying you can have 45% of your income be towards paying down debt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And, like, your mortgage is included in that debt.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, what a bank wants to see from you, they want to see 1 to 2 years of your tax returns, your W-2, so that you show proof of a stable income, and your credit score.
Yep.
Okay? And with all that, they can see what other debts you have and all that good shit. So.
And if you own your own business, you have to show 2 years of
taxes with that business.
Yep. If you just started it, like, they usually won't.
They will not count that income.
Yep. So, yeah, you have to have a minimum of 2 years if you own your own business. Anyways, continue. What are you doing?
I think she's like, why am I in this fucking corner?
Is that corner too small? Do you need me to move over? Okay.
That's
Continue.
fine. She's looking at you pissed, dude. All right. So if you have a debt to income ratio less than 45%, here's what that means. So if you make, I'm basing everything off of two different types of making. If you make $50,000 a year or if you make $100,000 a year. So if you make $50,000 a year, the bank will allow you to have $1,875 a month of payments for debt. Okay?
Yep.
So if you make $100,000 a year, well, you times by 2. So the bank will allow you to have $3,750 a month in payments.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and this is gross income.
So this is before taxes.
Before taxes.
Got it.
So debt to income ratio. So 3,007. So I'm like $100,000. I think if you're two household income, that's pretty safe to say. Most two household incomes are probably pulling in around that.
Yeah.
So that's $3,750 you can have a month in debt / payments. That's going to include your mortgage, your auto loan, any personal loans, student debt, credit card debt. Am I missing anything big there?
I don't think so.
Okay. So now we know what the lender's looking for. How big of a loan should you afford? How big of a payment should you afford? Not how much can you, how much should you? This is where we go into a bunch of different rules.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of times the lenders will lend you more than what you should pay.
Well, that just goes to show that a lender will technically lend you 45% of your gross income.
Yeah.
If you don't have any other debt, they'll lend you 45% of your gross income on a house.
And that's a lot.
Yeah. So the first rule is the 20% rule. Mm-hmm. Okay? Which means no more than 20% of your gross income is for your mortgage, property tax, insurance.
Okay.
Okay, so 20% of your gross goes towards mortgage, property tax, insurance. Mm-hmm. If you make $50,000 a year, that's $833 a month. Mm-hmm. If you make $100,000 a year, that's $1,666 a month. Okay, that you can afford. Dave Ramsey says 25% of your gross income should go towards mortgage, principal, interest.
Okay. Which
Sorry. Mortgage, which is your principal interest, and property tax and insurance.
Which doesn't Dave Ramsey usually talk about paying for a house outright?
He talks about paying it off as fast as you can, but
okay.
He doesn't. Yeah. So what he says is so 25%. So with $50,000, that would mean you can have monthly payment of $1,041. With $100,000, you can have $2,080 a month. $2,080 a month of payment. So I mean, if you think about it, like I think this house for us is $1,500 a month, including property tax and insurance.
Yep.
We're sitting pretty decent on our housing front.
Yeah, we are.
Next one is the 28% rule. Same shit. 28% of gross income or mortgage, right? Mm. Then we move into...
And these are like different ones that like you can pick what fits best in your life.
Yeah. This is all just like, there's just 1,000 rules for anything you want. Next one, this is probably my favorite one. 30-33 rule.
You like this one the most?
Yes, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
No. Out of the percentage rules for gross income, I like this the most. I will tell you the one I like the most.
Okay.
What this means is 30% of your gross income goes towards your mortgage, property tax, and insurance. Mm. This rule doesn't include this here, but guys, keep in mind, if you don't put 20% down on a home, you're also most likely going to have your property mortgage insurance, your PMI.
Yeah.
Property mortgage insurance. Yep.
Yeah, which is another $100 a month.
Depends on the value of the property, but
Okay.
yeah, usually it can be anywhere from like 80 to a couple hundred a month.
And sorry, a little bit random, but do you have to refi to get that off of your mortgage once you hit the 10%? Because I don't think they automatically take it off.
I don't think it goes away at 20%. So you have to get down to 20%.
But so does it automatically go away, or do you have to like refi or something?
No. It'll go away at that point.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain.
Okay.
Once you hit, yeah. So you'd have to get your property reappraised.
Yeah.
To show that, okay, now we can remove it. Okay. So next thing, so the 30% gross income towards mortgage. Next thing is 30% of your purchase price saved in cash. So that's the next 30, which means 20% is for a down payment and 10% for savings. The last thing is the 3 is don't buy a house more than 3 times your income.
Yep.
Okay. So $50,000, or we'll just do $100,000. So for $100,000 a year, if that's what you make, your household makes $100,000. That allows you a $2,500 a month payment. You should not buy a house more than $300,000. And you should have $90,000 saved up to put down on the house. Or $90,000 saved up because you got to put $60,000 down on the house.
Yeah.
Which isn't crazy. Like, if you think about it, if you save for a couple years, that's not crazy. To save up $90,000, I don't think that's crazy.
If you're only making $100,000?
Well, I didn't say, yeah. You got to go hustle a little harder, guys.
Okay, but then the 30% raises. Oh, it's 30% of the home value. So if you go with the max home value of $300,000, then that's what it is. Okay, got it.
So I actually pulled up Carl's mortgage calculator. So if you were to buy a property for $300,000,
yep,
you're putting 20% down payment with a 7.5% interest rate for 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to be at $1,678 a month.
Okay.
Then you got to add insurance, which is going to be probably around $100 to $150 a month. So let's just round that up to 1,000. Let's just say we're at $1,800 a month.
Yep.
Then we're going to add on our property taxes. Let's say we're at 35 for the year, 36 for the year. So it'd be an extra 300. So we'd be at 2,100 a month in payments. So 2,100 a month in payments. We are actually, if we're at $2,100 a month in payment for a $300,000 house, we are actually in the threshold of the 25% rule.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so we're right at the 25% rule, which is good. Now, this is my favorite rule. 50, 30, 20.
This one was for renting.
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't, but I'm telling you, like, that guy, he used this one for renting.
Yeah. It's very simple. This is for after tax. You can use this in any which way. No more than 50% on needs, which is housing, food, transport / auto, utilities. 30, no more than 30% on wants, travel, hobbies, streaming, phone, life, luxury, whatever. 20 is 20% for savings and debt payment. And I think the only debt payment I would truly say is like a valid debt payment would be like student loans.
Well, I mean, you can always like add extra to your car payment too.
Sure. Yeah.
To get that finished on faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or paying down your house faster.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. So what we're getting at, why I like this. This makes a lot of sense. You're saving 20%. Right away, you're saving 20% for savings and investing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the fact, I do like the fact that if you put that into like your house more, you can just get like a HELOC and get that money back out.
Right. Yep.
Cool. Anyways, continue.
So 20%, I love the idea of 20% for savings. 30% on luxury. What are your luxuries you have, and then 50% on your needs. It's just sick. It's a good way to whatever. But so this is what in the video we watched, he talked about this. But this is what Sam and I did, and this is what we did, and this is how we kind of run our lives, is we like reverse engineer our budget and we pay ourselves first. This goes into 1000% The Richest Man in Babylon, which is like one of my favorite books that I talk about all the time. Richest Man in Babylon, you pay yourself first.
Yep.
So if for this rule you're doing 20% savings, right away you write out a budget, 20% savings, you're just putting that in there. You can't even touch that. And this is after tax, so it's exact amounts. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a $50,000 salary, this is exact. You know how much it is, right? So you set aside 20% of your savings. Then you go into your needs, or like what things you're not going to like falter on. So we have like a pretty strict food diet that we know we're going to spend for food.
Yep.
We write that in there. So we have our food, we have like our Netflix, our insurance, our auto,
Mimi's Bark Box,
our cell phones, Audible, Pandora.
Yeah.
We put in the shit that we're like day to day. This is for us. Like this is what we're doing, right?
So yeah, all of our subscriptions, all of and then we put in our weekly budget. Like Shaun and I get $100 cash a week to spend.
Yep.
Like it is very, and I even have it in order of like what time of the month it comes out.
Yeah. So yeah, that is all thrown in. So we paid our savings first. Then we broke down all of our like non-negotiables, and then we're left with a pile. And that pile is for housing and like vacation.
Yeah.
Or like, you know. And so then we can see at the end, like, okay, well, we could have afforded a lot more expensive of a house than this $200,000 house.
Yeah.
Or like we have a loan at $200,000. We could have afforded something a lot more, but we decided not to, so we could save money to do like trips and shit and like have a Corvette and whatever, you know.
Sorry, did you say in there that we saved the 20% first and then our budget is based off that?
Yep. So we save our 20% and then everything else.
Yep. So yeah, it confuses me sometimes when I look at it, because I'm just like, man, like, how are we only like have this much money? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because it's only 80% of our income, not 100%.
Yep.
That's how much like we put it away and forget about it.
It's every single time, no matter what, it does not matter. Oh my God. I just realized I paid myself, but I didn't transfer money.
Dang. Slacker.
I know. I'll do that after this. All right, so that's kind of how you reverse engineer it, right?
I like that way best.
Reverse engineering is my favorite way. You always pay yourself first. Always, always, always pay yourself first. Non-negotiable.
Yeah. And then it's an easy way, I'd say, to like look at your subscriptions and be like, okay, what do I truly need? Because like once you like put them all in there and then you see what you have left over for the month, you're just like, oh man, do I really need to spend $20 a month on Netflix?
Right. So then next things. Here are like a couple more of my thoughts. Always shop. If this is for the average person, this is not for like investors or like what we do, right? Sam and I, we pretty much buy a house, add value to it, and we know we could sell it in 2 years, not be hit with taxes, make some money, move on to another house. Are we going to do that with this house? Probably not, but we did that with our last house, and that's kind of like what we do to a house. For the average person buying a home, you do not want to buy a house if you are not going to live there for at least 7 years. 7 years is supposed to be your break-even period.
Yeah.
So technically, if you want to go through all that hassle and shit, don't even buy something if you're not going to live there for 10 years.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So your break even on a house typically is 7 years. So when you're looking for something, don't buy unless you're going to be there for 10 years. Like that's kind of my thought on it. And then the other thing with it is like, if you do decide you're going to buy, shop lenders, shop different options. Don't just go to the first bank and go like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Because like even we know we can go some places and get lending at 8.75% right now. Most places will lend us commercial at 8.75. Well, I know places where you can do personal around 7.5, and I know places where you can do some commercial for 6.5. So like, you have to shop.
Yeah.
You have to shop.
And I think your credit score is going to take a hit, but it shouldn't matter. But if you do it like all within
1 month.
Is it 1 month before it hits you? I thought it was like 1 week.
I think you can shop. I think you can shop and do as many like quotes as you want within. Oh, I think it is 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is 1 to 2 weeks.
So just honestly, like any place that you can think of, apply there within a week.
Yeah, Sam and I did that because if your credit score will only get hit once if you check all in 1 week.
Yeah.
And so we wrote down a list of banks and we just boom submitted all of them to see which one gave us the best, and then we went with that.
Yeah. And don't do like all big banks. Like try some small credit unions. Try some like I don't think we've ever had luck with like U.S. Bank, but we know people that have had luck with U.S. Bank.
Oh, so one other thing. There's the USDA loans, which is for like agriculture, farming stuff. Yeah. And it also is like hobby farm shit too, qualifies for that.
Oh, okay.
The interest rates for that still in the 5s. So if we wanted to buy a house like in the country and have a hobby farm, which we do, have a hobby farm and like whatever, we could look at doing a USDA loan and get like a high 5% interest rate. How fucking crazy is that shit?
That's the same as what we have now, isn't it?
Yeah, 5.85.
Interesting.
Something to think about. All right, so those are my... Oh, so with all that, the best thing you can do. Before it was always the joke about like, you know, like the rich uncle who didn't ever get a wife or have kids. I do believe we have reached a point in time where having a spouse is almost paramount in affordability.
Yeah.
Most everything now is based off of like a 2-income family.
Yep.
And so unless you're a massive high earner yourself, and I'm talking like unless you're making 6 figures yourself, you should really consider a spouse or a roommate.
Yes, 100%.
And so, a spouse, just go get fucking married.
But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna buy a house, like have some friends that live with you. Shaun and I had roommates for almost the entire time we were at Robin.
Yeah. Then, but this is one other thing. Say you really want to live by yourself and you don't have a significant other and you don't want a roommate. House hack. Buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex.
Yeah.
That is probably the best advice I could give, period, is if you can look at buying like a 4-unit property, live in one of the units with like, even if you got a significant other or a roommate, dude, you can actually make money to live.
Yeah.
And that's all that extra money you can save to invest and keep doing that.
Yep.
And you can get a new one of those every year. And you can do that I think you can have up to 10. So you can do it for 10 years.
10 personal?
10 personal.
Yeah.
So you can technically do that every year for 10 years. At the end of it, have 10 rentals, all bringing you in cash flow.
Yeah. So
I really think, like, my personal thought is that, like, if you're willing to do that, do that. All right. So... any questions on any of that before we get into what is better, buying or renting?
No, I think that's all clear.
Love it. All right. Is buying or renting better? What do you think?
Well, I already know the answer.
Well, no. Personally, what do you think?
It's just so hard because... So I will put this out there, right? In the U.S., like, we're very... Like, we were told, you need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. But in most other countries, like most European countries, I think the majority of people rent.
Sorry.
The majority of people rent because you don't have to worry about taxes, maintenance, nothing like that.
as much as people want to think their house is an asset, it's a liability.
Yep. So, I mean, if I wasn't taught that you need to buy a house, I think I would say renting.
Unless you are house hacking, rent.
Yep.
Here's why. Sorry, I choked on my fucking water like a Neanderthal. All right.
At some point, I'm going to have to edit out all of our swearing for YouTube.
Yeah, someday.
They haven't flagged us, so I don't care.
Rent is rent. Everything we just talked about is all the rules we just put out and all that shit is just that. So say 25% of our gross income, okay? We can spend on housing. That's $2,500 a month, right?
Yeah.
You never have a question about what rent is. You don't have to worry about insurance going up. You don't have to worry about property taxes going up. You don't have to worry about maintenance, capital expenditures, other expenses like lawn care, anything like that. All you have to worry about is, or all you need to know is you have budgeted $2,500 to spend on rent, and that's what it is, right? What kind of fucking place could we rent for $2,500 a month in Eau Claire, Wisconsin?
There's some...
Okay, hold on. If we were to actually not go stupid and go rent the new dumb shit they're building downtown, my phone?
Yeah. It'll be a delayed response, but I will tell you.
Remember that? Remember the shit we walk with Ryan? The side-by-side duplexes, 4-bed, 3 baths. You remember those ones? The guy was getting $1,750 a month in rent. Granted, that was 2021. Yeah, 2021. You remember how fucking nice those were?
Very nice.
Way nicer in this place. Way nicer. For $1,700. All right. Rent. Why rent is great is rent is a set amount. Okay? That's that. I'm going to explain buying. What costs are included in buying that most people might not think about? So first you have your mortgage. Your mortgage is principal and interest. Interest is what you pay on the loan that you don't get back. Principal is essentially your debt pay down. There's two main types of mortgage. Your two main types of mortgage is a fixed rate mortgage and a variable rate, okay? Fixed rate means for 30 years you lock in an interest rate and you know your payment for the next 30 years. Variable is you lock it in for a certain length, 3-year, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year is most common. 5 years most common, but 3, 5, 7, 10 are typically your options. So you lock in a rate for those terms. Now, what that means is after like 5 years, you have the potential of your mortgage payment changing because your interest rate changed. And that could be for the good or for the worse. Now, so we know we haven't, especially if most common conventional is a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So we know what we're paying per month. That's awesome, right? Great, grand, good. We know the exact payment for our property, for our mortgage. Now, what else we have to consider is our property taxes. And you can get your property taxes and your insurance escrowed every year. You can pay that into the bank and they'll send it out and pay it. Your payment can change every month or every year. Your payment can change every year because property taxes tend to adjust annually as the home value goes up. Your insurance also adjusts annually and typically only goes up. So your payment will typically go up most years. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. Now we have another thing that's really cool and fun called maintenance. Okay? Maintenance is something you don't have to worry about when you rent, but you do when you buy. So there's a couple rules with maintenance. One is the 1% rule, which means you will roughly pay 1% of your home's value in repairs per year. So we are in the home value we have is around $300, okay? That means roughly we will have maintenance of $3,000 a year for this house. Another way to look at it is the square foot rule, which is budget $1 for every square foot of livable space. I do not like this rule because it's a fugazi. because we've got like 1,600 square foot in this house. So that would give us half the amount to spend in maintenance, and I do not trust that. Another thing you have, so after maintenance, another thing you have with home ownership is something called capital expenditures. And this is big things you have to plan for. This is your siding costs, your windows, your roof, your furnace, your air conditioner. These are big ticket items that aren't like a little maintenance break. They're like, fuck, I really need to save money every single month for this. Because next thing you know, we just talked about this on our W this morning.
Yeah.
What happens, like the prices of a roof, I'm going to tell you the price of a roof, how much it's gone up in the last 7 years. I was talking to a gentleman who's got a rental very similar to the size of mine. He said he got, in 2016, he had that property redone by a contractor. That contractor charged him $12,000 for material and labor to do that roof. We had gotten 3 different quotes, and the 3 different quotes were $32,000, $35,000, and $38,000. Roughly 3 times the amount to hire a company for labor and material to do the same roof. 7-year difference.
That's insanity.
Now, I had our company do it, mine and Kyle's. We did it, and we had a gentleman help us. And our cost to do this was $18,500. That was our cost to pay for material, the cost of material, no markup, and to pay for our guys at the cost of our guys. Not charging out at what we charge out at $75 an hour. It's to charge what we pay hourly. Our cost was $18,500. That's how much this shit has gone up in 7 years. So what I said to Sam is the average family does not have more. I think the average family only has like $2,000 in their savings.
Yeah.
It's very, very low. Don't quote me on that exact amount, but
it's definitely not a roof.
No, the majority of the people don't have $10,000 in savings. This house on this roof to contract out to a customer is roughly $10,000 to do this roof.
Damn.
On our personal house, okay? So that would eat up all of somebody's savings if you save 10 grand. Now, what happens in the same year when your roof and furnace goes out and your furnace is $4,500 to replace and your roof just went out for 10? Who's got 15 grand laying around?
Not many.
Not many people. So I was saying to Sam, capital expenditure wise, people that own a house, they might be able to pay for the maintenance that's coming out. How many people can afford their new furnace? How many people can reside their home? And this is why Kyle and I have a business. These houses, people neglect them. People neglect them for 30, 40, 50 years because they don't know how to save.
Right.
They don't put that money back into their house to keep it in good condition. So Kyle and I have to come in. This is where houses become a big liability. You're either consistently putting money into the house for upkeep, or you're not putting money in for upkeep, and you're not going to have the value when you go to sell your house.
Right.
And so people will go to sell their house. They bought their house for $100,000 and $2,000. They bought their house for $100,000. Now they're looking to sell it to us for $90,000 23 years later when the market's gone way the fuck up. And they're like, no, this doesn't make sense. I should get this much more. And I'm like, yeah, but for 23 years, you didn't put a roof. The roof's starting to leak. So now I not only have to do a roof, I have to repair drywall in the house. The siding, that's wood siding that you need to scrape and paint, and you could have just scraped and painted it 10 years ago and you'd be fine, is now rotted. And now I have to redo your siding. Oh, you also haven't updated your kitchen in 45 years. All your floor coverings need to be redone. Your bathroom's leaking. You can see your wax string's been leaking on your toilet for years. Your house, because you did not keep on the upkeep, that house that's worth $200,000, if you would have done all these things and done all the upkeep, it probably would have been about $60,000 to $80,000 over the years, and you would have made $20,000 from owning that house for 23 years. Instead, you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're losing money by me buying it from you because you didn't want to do the upkeep throughout the years. And that's why if you are owning and not renting, your mortgage payment a month, I believe you also need to factor in your savings.
Mm-hmm.
So, like us, we pay $1,500 all in.
Mm-hmm.
We can afford $2,500.
Yeah.
We should save $1,000 a month, which is gross. So if you look at it on the lower side, we should save roughly $700 a month for our capital expenditures down the road.
Yeah.
If we were going to stay here long term.
Yeah.
People do not think about that.
No.
So capital expenditures, that's a big one that most people aren't thinking about. That is why Kyle and I have a business, and I applaud everybody who does not do their capital expenditures because I will be willing to buy your house. Okay. The last thing to think about when owning a house is your other expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have HOA fees? Do you pay for landscaping? Do you pay for mowing? Do you pay for plowing? Do you pay for pest remediation? Whatever it is, it's your other expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want a fence. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the breakdown of buying versus renting.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty gnarly, right?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Real quick, the last things. All but 4 major metros in the nation, all but 4 major metros in the nation, it is cheaper to rent than own.
Which is crazy because when we post stuff,
Yeah.
when I see posts like rentals on Facebook, everyone comments, it's cheaper to buy a house than it is to rent for these days.
People are idiots. The last thing is Redfin. Redfin came out with a nationwide personal home cost is 25% more than renting.
I'm not surprised.
Me neither.
Yeah, because you got to think like property taxes go up, insurance has been going up, the cost of everything has been going up, and if you rent, like they're only gonna tick you up a little bit.
They don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
And most likely, if you've been renting at a place for long enough, they only need to get a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how our rentals are. Like, we have a lot of our rentals locked in at 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
I think 8 of our rentals are locked in at 3.75%. And so we can get away with charging a little less for those rentals.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready?
Let's hear it.
This is one of the most expensive ones I could find.
Okay.
Okay, near Lake Wissota.
Okay.
It's a 4-bed, 2-bath.
Okay.
2,100 square feet.
Okay.
Pretty nice. Got a front porch. Got a back deck. Pretty plain Jane cabinets. Carpet in bedrooms. How much do you think?
2,400.
Oh, 2-car garage too, actually.
2,400.
1,700.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
Like, think of living, because that place is definitely nicer than this.
Oh, yeah. Here, you can look at it if you want.
Jesus fuck, that's nicer than this.
Yeah.
My God.
There's a couple that I found also by Lake Wissota that had granite countertops, much nicer, like much more updated kitchen. 1,600. But those ones are 3-bed, 2-baths, not 4-bed, 2-baths.
So, I mean, I guess the difference is we don't have a big yard with this.
Yeah, obviously.
Right. Owner pays for lawn, water, septic. Tenants responsible for electricity, propane, trash. That's decent, too.
Yeah, that's actually really good.
That's fucking decent. $1,725. Think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
We pay I think it's $1,580 we pay for our house. $1,580.
Yeah. Well, I guess you... Okay, yeah, right. Go ahead. Sorry.
That doesn't include any... We got upkeep on this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
We got upkeep.
Yep.
There ain't no upkeep on that cocksucker,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Think about that.
I know. That's what, like... I do think about, like, some of our rentals. I feel like they're a little expensive with, like, the 1-bedroom, 1-bath is, like, $900 and the other's, like, $1,100, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's a little expensive. But then I also think you do have your own privacy.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. But, Like, those ones had septic issues.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to pay for it.
Mm-mm.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if we didn't own rentals, I would say, yeah, we could rent. You're thinking we could rent from ourselves.
I didn't say that. You said that.
I know.
I could see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes, babe.
I know. At some point, I do want a cool house, though.
No, I know. And I'm content with where we're at here. I'm really cool with staying where we're at here.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I do really think, I think we take too much for living the American dream, owning the house, doing all these things, and not enough about just renting.
Yeah.
And people.
I think also it just sucks because we're so obsessed with like buying a house, people don't respect rentals. So people go and live a place, fucking trash it, and then pretty much ruin it for the next people, because then obviously the owners will have to go in, fix a whole bunch of shit, put in a whole bunch of money, so then rent's gonna have to go up.
Right.
So if people actually fucking took care of these rentals, like, that they're staying in, living in, I don't think rents would have to be quite as high as they are.
No, they wouldn't.
But nobody respects shit. Like,
no.
it's still a house. Like, it's still a home. So fucking take care of it and respect it.
Right.
And if there's a maintenance thing, like, let your landlord know.
Dude, honestly, like, I just remember, like, all the times we rented, we just took care of the shit.
Yeah.
And we would, like, let landlord know if shit was wrong, like, right away. Yeah.
I definitely, like, wouldn't leave most of my rentals, like, the cleanest. But I also, like, didn't have trash everywhere. Like, I mean, second to last rental we lived in, like, yes, we had a pile of trash. But it was, well, actually, I think it was all in the kitchen, but we at least gathered all of the trash together.
With the 5 dudes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was difficult.
That one was bad.
But we didn't destroy anything.
No.
Like, we didn't trash anything.
No.
Nothing was trashed.
No, and like I said, all the garbage was in one place, so they just had to bring it outside.
Right.
So, and just do a general cleaning, like, all you have to anyways. Coronas for rent.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know how much it is now?
$1,200.
Just under.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, so before Sam and I bought our first house, I proposed to her that we stay renting in the property we were renting for $745 a month. It was a 2-bed, 1-bath with a 1-stall garage. It was a duplex, upper lower. And they allowed pets. It had a little fenced-in yard. I proposed to Sam, my love, we're looking at buying a house for $1,500. If we stay here at this place for $745, our rent will go up by like $50 a month, but we'll be like, we can just stay here until we have kids, and we can take all that money and like all the effort of working on shit, all that stuff, all of the headache, and we can reinvest it 100% into rentals, into business, into whatever, and we can just stay in this spot. And lovely Sam did not want to do that. We went on a different route, which is fine.
We made money off of that house.
We made money, but yeah. But remember, my whole premise behind it was like all the time we spent fixing that house up and doing that stuff, we could have done a flip. And would we have seen similar returns? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like, not having the hassle of moving, not having the hassle of roommates, nothing. We just had like the spot. Yeah. You know? That was like my whole premise behind it. And the other thing with that is, and this was the whole thing about Kyle and Katie when they moved from their Kappa's place that they were only paying like $750 for.
Yeah.
Landlords, like, it's for rent for $1,100 now, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
If we would have stayed there, it wouldn't even be at $1,000 because they wouldn't want to lose us. Yeah. They would only increase because they'd say, "Hey, we got good tenants here, guys. We have to increase based on whatever. It's gonna be a $50 increase." Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Great, thank you. And so we would have been there for the last 5 years. So our $745, we'd be at $1,000 a month. Yeah. But that's still, for our income, is nothing. Yeah. Little fenced in yard. You know, I mean, I'm glad we moved and we did the things we had the experiences we had. But
it is something to consider.
Oh, man.
And it was like, it was the whole issue of we were raised where we were told you need to buy a house. You need to buy a house. And not even like my parents never told me like I had to buy a house. But just I feel like society in general is so like buying a house is better than renting. And it's not.
And I was over here the whole time, babe. Like,
I know.
I want to just rent. Fuck owning. Owning sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided to buy a bunch of rentals. Owning really does suck.
Yeah, it does.
But that's my investment strategy. Mm-hmm. I'm balls deep and I'm going even deeper.
Yeah. We have raised some of our rents quite a bit, but we did that in exchange of like, we need to do things on this place. So like in order for us to fix up your place while you're living there, we do need to charge you more.
And not only that, we bought it based on a price.
Yeah.
I mean, we buy these things for 3 to 4 times the amount of what the owner bought it for 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So not only has it not been updated for 25 years, we bought it at a 3 times the price what they bought it at. We have to increase.
Yeah.
You have to think what they were charging for rent before us, and we had to do a $300 increase. Dude, they were making way more money than we make.
Mm-hmm.
They were making way more money than we were making.
And so they can't. I like to say like the renters can't blame us; they can blame the previous owners.
They didn't stay up with market rent. They weren't doing increases, things like that.
No.
And another thing I will say, and this is like not to be an asshole, and go back on what I was saying. If you get pissed at your rent increasing to near market level, go buy your own fucking house and pay more. Like people throw a pity party. Oh, you're increasing my rent to $100 below market value because you bought it from an owner. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're still getting a good deal, and it's way cheaper than if you go buy. Mm-hmm. Like,
we had a couple people obviously get mad with the rent increases, and then you can tell they must have went and looked around, and then they're just like, "Nope, that's okay.
Yep.
I'll pay that.
Thank you so much. We love it here."
Yep. And you're just like, "Cool." So yeah, that's what I got. I highly suggest renting. Some of my coworkers rent from us, and they're definitely like, we're gonna stay here for a while.
This is what I recommend. I recommend either renting or house hacking, which is essentially renting from yourself. Mm-hmm. And I fully recommend having money saved up before doing so. Mm-hmm. If you are going to buy a house and you're going to rent out some of the units and you're going to live in yours and rent it out, essentially rent from yourself, you better have 10% of that goddamn purchase price saved up for if the furnace goes out or if the roof goes out or whatever. Yeah. And especially if you got a duplex or a 4-unit, you might be dealing with 4 fucking furnaces, pal. Mm-hmm. You might have 4 furnaces to worry about. Mm-hmm. So be smart. Yep. And a roof on a 4-plex, if you're doing like a ranch style 4-plex, $30,000 to $40,000 to redo.
Yeah.
So be very, very smart with how you're rolling.
We were thinking of house hacking with a 4-unit, but the 1 unit needed to be completely redone if that person ever moved out. All the appliances and furnaces and water heaters were all from when it was built like 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we're just like, that very quickly can be a lot of money. And the rents were below market. Mm-hmm. The way we looked at it was at the top of our purchase at the time is $525,000 roughly. Hindsight, we should have gotten it. 100%. We should have done it. We should have lived in it. We should have just increased things slowly. Yeah. We 100% should have done that. But so rents were about $250 less per unit than we were told when we actually got real numbers in. So it was the total income of the property was $750 less than we were told. Yep. One of the units needed updating. 3 or 4. I think all 4 of the furnaces were coming up at the end of their life. Mm-hmm. There was some massive stuff there, but hindsight is always 20/20. They sold that property for $675,000 this year. Are you serious? Yeah, we could have made 150 G's just by owning it for a year. Because I was 22. By owning it for a year and a half, we could have made,
Yeah. So hindsight, it for sure would have been worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if living there, once at first we would have had to pitch a little more money forward that we could afford.
Mm-hmm.
We easily could have afforded it.
Yeah.
And we had the money in savings too. But if we would have taken the 2 years and just slowly got rents up to where they're up to market value, we would have had to pay a little more than we wanted to for 2 years, but we could have, that was easily in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
It was easily in our 25%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, overall, it was a foolish move on our part, but
It is things to consider, though. Right, like all those. We did have the money, but
definitely audience things to consider is shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
We fucked up, but and we just keep fucking up. But maybe we'll learn from it one of these days. I don't know.
maybe.
Questionable.
Cool.
Anything else?
No.
Cool. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that talk on buying a personal home where we tried to convince you to rent forever.
Yep, pretty much.
Cool. All right. We'll catch you later.
See ya.